and 2. They stack the line of scrimmage. There's Dom Hill. There he goes. Dom Hill 40. Dom Hill 30. Downhill Dom Hill. Touchdown. 61 yards.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peter Chevrolet.
Medlock, they fake it to him. James Keeper off the left side, breaks the tackle, into the secondary, skips away, and he will score. Touchdown, Duncanville.
Here's David Smoke.
It is week number 9 of the Texas high school football season. There are 3 weeks to go. And then the possibility for some, the season may end in the second week in November. And then there's that 6-week stretch up until near the end of Christmas or right in front of Christmas, where state championship weekend at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. I'm David Smoke. Jack McKenzie, who every week is the one who actually puts everything together, and we put it up on our YouTube channel, which is under the umbrella of 365 Sports, and he is here today with me in studio. We have Reggie Samples of Duncanville and Craig Stump, head coach at Atascocita, two of the highest-ranked teams not only in Texas but America, with us today on the show. Best wins from last week. Sinton beating Cuero 23-18. There was Gilmer, and they always seem like they get Van. They're, of course, a fantastic program, winning the state championship a year ago. And after the early start, the loss to Pine Tree, they are rolling now. They beat Van 31-23, Waxahachie over Cedar Hill in what is a critical game in District 11, 6A, because it's about seeding. You know that Duncanville and DeSoto are going to be the number 1 seeds in Division I and Division II. Waxahachie and who else will get to be a part of it when the playoffs begin in the third week in November. Katy over Jordan. Katy Jordan 17-7. Panther Creek in a spectacular game. I followed the scores updated by Matt Stepp of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, 46-44. Panther Creek with a win in 4 overtimes. Kilgore thumped Lindale, 42-21. They are really good. New Diana, this was nice because Troop has a lot of weapons with Sam Wells and Troop, but New Diana, 35 and Troop 11. La Vega, 35, China Spring 14. These two teams have gone at it for a long, long time. China Spring is 1-6. They had a non-district schedule. It was very tough to manage, but they've now lost to Connolly and La Vega to open up their district play. Bremond, 75, Goldthwaite 47. Jeff Kozowski and Bremond with a very impressive win in 2A. Dangerfield's record is very deceiving. Ask Hooks. 42-0, Dangerfield beat Hooks. Robinson, we featured Chris Lancaster, the head coach of the Rockets last week, and they got the win at Conley, 42-29. Italy, as I was told, it's called Italy. The Gladiators, always like that mascot, 21 and Axtell 7 in a very, very good game, also in Class 2A. So those are the best wins. There's always a bunch more, but I brought those up. A couple of things individually. DJ Barnes, remember we showed you that Hail Mary pass, a couple of weeks ago? He had 543 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, ran for 119 yards and 3 touchdowns as Shelbyville with a 58-57 win against the Bears of Timpson. Levi Beavers from Honeygrove, quarterback and linebacker. How good and tough do you have to be to do those? Had 112 yards passing, 1 touchdown. 62 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Okay, that's okay. 9 tackles, 3 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and also a caused fumble in a win against Alba Golden. Roderick Hambrick of Terrell, 236 yards rushing, 5 scores, a win against Ennis. Jathan Johnson from Edgewood, wide receiver, defensive back, had 4 receiving touchdowns and 177 yards, ran a kickback for 65 yards and a score, blocked an extra point for 2 points and ran it back in a win against Harmony, 75-47. Jatavian Jones, from Detroit, sophomore quarterback, threw for 130 yards and a score, ran for 239 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had 3 2-point conversions, and beat Linden Kildare 50-22. ARP running back Josh Smith, 300 yards rushing, 5 scores, and they beat the Elks of Elkhart. Trevor Brooks of Chapel Hill, this kid is amazing. 7 tackles, had 1 carry for 5 yards, 5 catches for 105 yards and 2 scores, had 1 punt for 42 yards. He's a really good punter. Blocked the field goal to secure the shutout of Maybank, and also was 7 for 7 on holds. He does everything, holds for extra points and field goals. I want to bring up Garrison's Gavin Pollard, 9 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, blocked a punt, knocked down a pass, 6 quarterback pressures, and had 6 pancakes as a tight end for Garrison in their shutout win against St. Augustine. And then this one, Jaden Johnson from New Diana, 2 kick returns for 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 punt return for 30 yards, 2 catches and a touchdown in that win against Troop. Jashawn Johnson of Valley Mills, 43 carries. Bob Featherston, the head coach, sent this to me. 43 carries for 335 yards and 6 touchdowns. They beat Itasca, the Wampus Cats. It's a speed zone, too. Speed trap, 62-33. Also, Gavin Carroll from Grandview. He had 18 tackles, 2 sacks, knocked down a pass, tackle for a loss, 2 special teams tackles, and also a 2-point conversion, and also recovered an onside kick at a 36-34 win against Groesbeck. But then this one here, and he won the Built Ford Tough 2-way Player of the Week. Meshach Griffin. Listen to this from Holland. He had an 85-yard kick return touchdown, an 86-yard interception return for a touchdown. He had a 74-yard catch and run for a touchdown. He had a 14-yard rushing touchdown, 2 interceptions, 8 tackles in a 45-14 win against Johnson City. Meshach Griffin lost his mom back during the spring, and the community, of course, has embraced him. And he, according to Coach Holman, the head coach, is a one-of-a-kind player for Holland in their win against Johnson City. We will feature Class 6A tonight. Not 2 teams today, 2 teams playing each other, but 2 of the highest-ranked teams in the state of Texas. One of them, Duncanville. They are rolling. They play Mesquite Horn this week, and also Atascocita. Duncanville, according to Jerry Forrest, Pigskin Prep, is the number 2 ranked team in the state. Atascocita is number 3. North Shore, who Atascocita plays, is number 5. These are indexes. Check that. Let me check that. Yeah, those are the indexes. Summer Creek lost to Atascocita earlier this year. So these teams, we'll get to that with Reggie samples. There's DeSoto, there's Westlake, there's South Lake Carroll, there's North Crowley, and more. Speaking of Atascocita, North Shore, look at this figure. The game is on Friday, officially sold out. The home side tickets for Atascocita as they play North Shore. We know about their history. We'll hear from Craig Stump, the head coach at Atascocita, in just a moment on this show. A little bit later on, the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame released their class of 2025, a couple of mega names, and also a personal note. We'll have that a little bit later on in today's show. Coming up next, Duncanville's Reggie Samples, Atascocita's Craig Stump, and we'll also look at the best games of week number 9. This is the Friday night, not Friday night, but the weekly high school football statewide podcast.
When you need power, performance, and head-turning style, you need Peters Chevrolet. Check out the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado. 1.9% for 36 months with discounts up to $10,000 off on custom crew cabs. 2024 Silverado prices starting at $36,995. Whether you work hard or play hard, take your pick out of the largest selection of new Chevrolets at Peters Chevrolet. Online at peterscars.net. Peters Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
New arrivals just dropped at Barefoot Campus Outfitter in Waco. Looking for the best Baylor gear? Barefoot is the place to grab your gear. Game day polos, tees, tanks, caps, clear stadium bags, jewelry, and more. Barefoot Outfitters has all the essentials with unique campus apparel and offering comfortable garments and designs. Long-lasting images that people continue to enjoy wearing time and time again. Located right off I-35 on Spate, or shop at barefootcampusoutfitter.com and get free shipping on orders $75 or more. Go Bears!
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year, it's football season. Bird Colgan Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 selling truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, 47 years in a row. Come see the largest showroom in Texas and experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletic, specializing in diagnosing and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries. Celebrating over 2 decades of service to Central Texas, they tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. And when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday morning for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Where is the best beef in Texas? Your house. When you order from Texas Beef House and unleash the flavor of Texas-raised Wagyu. Texas Beef House now hosting twice monthly live auctions where you, the customer, set the cost of what you want to pay for ribeyes and New York strip, fillets, flat iron, brisket, tri-tip. So look online, TexasBeefHouse.com, and popping up will be the live auction dates coming up. Stay connected. It's TexasBeefHouse.com. From their pasture to your plate, twice monthly live auctions, TexasBeefHouse.com. Duncanville head football coach Reggie Samples, a great friend of the show, and I consider a great friend, even though I've only broadcast a couple of games he's been a part of. We've gotten to know each other pretty well. I want to start with this. What is this quote? What does it mean? Either you're coaching or you're allowing it.
Well, it means that either you're making a difference or you're allowing something to happen without intervening and changing the narrative.
How much is it, how important is it for you, Reggie, all that you've done, all that you've won, all of your experiences, that you pass on the torch, and that you got plenty of gas in the tank, but you pass on the torch of what coaching's supposed to be about to those who are on your staff?
Well, it's very important. Hopefully I've done some things and said some things and took leadership on some things that made a difference for kids. And it's always good if, you're passing that on where other leaders are doing the right thing for kids.
Who did that for you?
Probably Norman Jett, Charles Malone, my old ex-coaches, my uncle George Rowland, ex-basketball coach here in Dallas.
Reggie Samples at Duncanville, back-to-back Class 6A state champions, and also rolling along again this year with that nice win earlier just a couple of weeks ago against DeSoto. You've been a part of some huge games, and you've won a bunch, and there's been a couple that didn't go the right way. I asked you this last year. Would you have been fulfilled had you never won a state championship? Now you've won 2. Now I got a feeling you're probably as hungry as ever before. Am I right?
You're exactly right.
What is it like?
I honestly, I wouldn't have. You work hard to reach goals, and that's been one of my goals. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have because, I still would have felt like I didn't get what I wanted out of my whole coaching career.
Did you ever, at times after so many close calls, did you ever do what if?
Oh, without a doubt. You always do that. You hate to do it, but, you wouldn't be honest if you didn't look at things. You look at things both ways. And, yes, I've done what if.
So when you won the championship a couple of years ago and then you followed it up, I said now that you're hungry. John King won a state title at Longview. It's been a few years ago. His son was the quarterback as a junior. Pat Collins, who was the AD, longtime coach in Louisiana, college coach as well. But he told John, your job just got harder because Longview, Reggie, had not won a state title since 1937. And I mean, they were, as you know, they're always good. Every year in and year out, they're good. And then he won it, and Coach Collins, like that next morning, goes, okay, now your job is harder. Is that true?
I don't think so. I think after winning it, you take that big sigh of relief. You look back on your experiences, and, you have to get some insight on knowing the right decisions to make and the right paths to go down. For me, I felt like it wasn't easier, but I felt like the experience in going through winning it helped me a lot going into the future.
Reggie, do you think, though, that if a program or a college team that has been close, like I remember Bobby Bowden, Florida State, Tom Osborne at Nebraska, coaches that were Mac Brown at Texas, that were knocking on the door and they were always just short, and then they finally won it, and then they won multiple. Mac didn't. He played at another one in 2009, lost to Alabama. But do you feel like a program that is so close, frustrations, disappointments, heartbreak, and then you win one, doesn't mean it's easier, but does it almost allow you then to just get on this great run?
I don't know if it allows you to get on a great run. There are a lot of things that have to happen along the way. One of them is you got to have good players. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the first thing. You got to have good coaches. You got to have support from your administration and the people above you. So I think there are a lot of things that have to happen. Now, if those things are in place, yes, it makes it a lot easier. But, there are a lot of instances where coaches have to fight those barriers before they can get where they need to be.
What is the one thought about Duncanville football that you think is a lazy narrative?
A lazy narrative? I think the assumption that all we're about is talent. I think people sometimes overlook the fact that we're in a very tough region.
Yep.
We face a lot of outstanding coaches, outstanding teams, and we really have to be prepared. So we put in a lot of time getting prepared. And I think that's one assumption that people don't realize is going on here.
Yeah, like sometimes you see a basketball team, and I remember asking the late Guy V. Lewis when he was at Houston, who I got to know because he was from East Texas and ARP, that sometimes they just roll the basketball out there and they go play. They have a bunch of great athletes. You got to coach them. There's the discipline, the schemes, the commitment. I mean, and I think that probably at times there are sometimes, Duncanville's got a lot of talent. That's an insult to you and your staff.
Yes, it is. Because, contrary to popular belief, I found out the more talent that we've had, the more difficult the coaching situation and the environment is. Because, the way things in sports are nowadays, you have all these outside factors pulling on these young kids. And we get them in our program, and we have to centralize their focus on what we want them to do, our programs, our goals, our standards. And it's very difficult.
Is it even more difficult because of even street agents that are even down perhaps in the lower levels, and NIL, the transfer portal? Is that something that is filtered into Duncanville and other schools too, that you have to make sure you keep those away from who you are as a program?
Well, I don't know if you can keep them away because they're on the outside, they're almost unmanageable because, there are no rules that govern them. But what we have to do is try to make sure that the kids are educated on where they stand in the line of what's important. And that's the most difficult thing, making kids understand that there are a lot of things that come before those guys and that type of thing. And that's what we try to focus on.
Reggie, what's it like when you have the talent around you, but you also have this just a big school and so many players in your program? What's it like these days when you have to make sure the player, the student athlete, knows who's in charge, and they sometimes slip and forget that?
I wouldn't say it's hard. I mean, because, it just comes down to really being that those type of things determine whether you're going to be successful. So for me, it just comes out. It's natural because, when it comes to the sacrifices you have to make in order to be successful, you can't hold back. You got to go at it like a tiger. And that's kind of the way I look at it.
All right, Reggie, there's teams. You have DeSoto's in your same district and others. And then there's North Crowley. There's South Lake Carroll. There's Allen. There's Prosper. There's all these teams. And then in Houston, you have Atascocita, North Shore, among others that are all highly ranked. It seems like it's all packed into two areas, but it's much deeper than that. How competitive is it right now in 6A?
Oh, it's very competitive. Our district is very competitive. We just got out of a game against a very talented Lancaster football team that played North Carolina to, I think, about 10-point game. Some of the teams that people don't even know about are very good, and they're going to find out about them once the playoffs get started. So, what it leads us to do, though, is, you just have to take one game at a time. You have to stay focused on your own program and what you need to do to get better, and that's what we try to do. The minute you start looking around at someone else, you lose a step, and we can't afford to lose a step.
Reggie, all right, you and I, we can't finish this up. By the way, congratulations on yet another great start to the season. We have to talk about cooking because that's what you and I mean, that's like this with you and me, right? As far as steaks. What is, if you had to do the one meal for just you, your family, or whatever, if I came over to sit down and watch football with you or film, what are we cooking?
We're probably cooking ribs, plenty of vegetables, collard greens, black-eyed peas, and a salad.
I love black-eyed peas.
Just so I can stay halfway. Got to throw that salad in so we can have a little help.
If I brought over a big, thick, bone-in Wagyu ribeye, or even if it was Angus or just a good-looking bone-in ribeye, how do you get that thing ready for the grill? Charcoal, pellet fuel, how do you do that?
Charcoal, nothing but charcoal. Don't put any smoke on it. Sear that thing on both sides, keep that juice in it, and let it rest and get at it.
Any seasonings at all other than maybe salt and pepper?
A little garlic powder.
Oh, garlic powder.
Yes.
Do you put any kind of marinade on it at all? Or do you ever?
No. I think those cuts of meat are they're so good with their natural flavor that you got to let them do it on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on the ribeye, as you know, around the edges, there's a little bit more of that gristle and fat. And then when that gets cooked really, really good, I could almost actually just eat that part and let the rest of it go.
Hey, you're my guy. Hey, you sound like you're from my neighborhood. That's exactly right. Sometimes I'll do that and I'll be finished. And, I have a habit now of eating that part, and then I'll save the rest for my breakfast the next day. And that's the only thing that makes it good is the fact that I know I've still got some steak left for the next day.
Yeah, I may like steak and eggs, or I might even make the next day, if it's cooked right and not overcooked, and I hope that's not the case, is I may make a fajita or two
yes, sir.
The next day. Have you ever done a sous vide at all? Have you ever had anybody cook a steak with that sous vide, which is in the packet?
No, I haven't. And, I'm such a traditionalist. Mm-hmm. I probably turn my nose up against it. But, I'm one of those guys that I'm going to always say no until I taste it, and then I'll change my mind. So I just have to stay neutral right now.
I get the biggest, if I can, bone-in or not, ribeye. And what I look at is not how big the steak is, but how big the steak is with the edge, as I talked about. So you and I mean, is that just not as good as it gets? the piece around the edge of the ribeye, a little bite at a time, and then I just make a fool of myself when I do that.
Boy, you got it. You know it. Hey, you're a guy from my own heart, that's for sure.
And one more thing about your football team. You're about to wrap it up. You've got Horn this week, and then, of course, you go game by game. What do you have to do better to have a chance to raise that championship trophy again at the end of December?
We've got to run the ball better. One of the things about us is that in this year's team, we've really got some good receivers. And we've tended to kind of lean on the fact that they are the better guys on our team. And we've kind of flipped that ratio. We try to be about 50-50 run and pass, but we're kind of getting away from it. And I'm really trying to lean on my staff and get them to get back into running the ball a little bit more.
Call LSU and get Durham back on your team, right?
That made it easy. That's probably why. That has a lot to do with why we're throwing it so much.
Well, I keep saying, but I'm bad about this. When you call somebody or you're looking for a non-district game, how many people don't answer your call or hang up?
About 90% of them. Now, I tell you, one of the most frustrating parts of my coaching experiences is going into realignment meeting.
Yeah.
Because I, and it's really interesting because whenever I get a new athletic director or new offensive coordinator, I carry them with me and I explain to them what's going to happen before I get there, and they never believe it. And then once they get there and see how ignored we are, it's almost astonishing. But it's really frustrating because, like this year, again, we only have nine regular season games because we couldn't field one. So it becomes very frustrating.
Man, I love you, Reggie. Thanks for your time. Good luck the rest of the way this week against Horn, and also hope to see you sometime in December at AT&T Stadium. Enjoy that ribeye around the edge, whatever it's called. It's just delicious. Your football team's great. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. You know you're my guy, and you do a great job.
Thank you. Reggie Samples, head coach at Duncanville High School, back-to-back Class 6A state champions, and what a career he's had. When we come back, it's Craig Stump, played at Texas A&M. We've had a connection to Port Arthur Jefferson this year with former Jefferson and then Title League coach and a great friend of mine in Mike Owens, and Todd Dodge, now at Lovejoy, who was, of course, a player at Port Arthur Jefferson, as was Craig Stump, now the head coach at Atascocita, and he's next as we continue the high school football statewide podcast.
Make this the summer of Ram at Peters Ram in Longview. Introducing the all-new 2025 Ram 1500 with available 420 horsepower and 540 foot-pounds of torque, starting at an affordable $47,995. Or get $4,000 off the all-new 2025 1500 Limited with available 540 horsepower and 521 foot-pounds of torque. Need something for work? The Ram 1500 Classic, starting at $36,999. Peters Ram in Longview has the largest selection of the hardest-working new trucks in the industry. Online at peterscars.com.
At Genco, our goal is to build long-lasting relationships while providing complete financial solutions for each step of life's journey. Our members enjoy fewer fees, lower rates on loans of all types, and higher yields on a wide variety of savings options. That's just a small part of the credit union difference. Visit Genco online, on Facebook, or come by one of our 5 locations today. Apply online for membership. Genco FCU, NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears!
Ghost Hydration is a fully transparent, fully loaded, full-flavored hydration drink that we've all been waiting for. Ghost is caffeine-free with electrolytes, 0 sugar, and low sodium that'll hydrate your body before, during, and after your workout. Consumer loved with authentic flavors, so grab and enjoy a Sour Patch Kids Blue Raspberry and Red Berry, along with the Kiwi Strawberry, Orange Squeeze, or Lemon Lime. Ghost Hydration can truly be used anytime. Remember, it's formulated for sports, but made for life.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Atascocita football coach Craig Stump with us on the statewide high school football podcast. I'm David Smoke. And Craig, great to have you on. I know this is a huge game coming up with North Shore and the great rivalry there. How do you keep this, or can you keep this as any other normal week and not play the game on Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, they're high school kids, right? So you do all you can as a coach to get that done. And we focus a lot about, not worrying about results. We're trying not to focus on outcomes, and we just focus on our performance. And I think that's key, and, the schedule we've played, we've been in games with state ranked teams this year. We've had one of the hardest schedules. I think that's part of it too. And, our kids know their kids. They're only, roughly 7 miles apart. So they know each other and been knowing each other for a long time. So you just tell them to stay off social media and focus on themselves and focus on their performance and see what happens.
You've won games at Katy, at Westlake. I know that Atascocita was able to end a streak at Allen with what they did at home. You guys initially, and you've had success. This is not like this happened overnight, but that you have been giant killers along the way, and now aren't you one of those giants?
Well, I like to think. I think we are throughout the state. We've been, we've been state ranked, and for the last, since 2015, I guess we were in Region 2. We were in the regional finals in the state semis in 16, and then district champs in 17, where we beat North Shore. Beat North Shore in 16, and we've been in 5 of the last 7 regional finals here in this region. So we've been one of the last 2 teams for 5 of the last 7 years. So I'd like to think so.
Obviously, they have an unbelievable history. We had Reggie Samples on earlier today. We know at Duncanville, in fact, those incredible games with North Shore in the state championship. Mm-hmm. Well, they have had you. They've had your number in the last 3 years to end your season. Yep. How much does that come into play this week?
Well, I mean, it does in a way, but it really doesn't at the end of the day, right? I think with fans and the outside stuff, which you try to eliminate, people want to talk about that. But if you get to the final 8 every year, one of these years you're going to get through there. We've been through once. But yeah, the last few years they've got us, they've had us, and I think a lot of it is their players are they're really good players. They get them every year, so I don't think it has a factor on the outcome of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think with fans, would like to see us. Obviously they want to see you win and all that, and then they talk about you. Maybe you can't win the big one, which I've never understood that. Because inside the walls, every game's big,
Well, you have to win big games to get to big games. They used to say that. In fact, Reggie Samples' history when he was at Lincoln and had a blocked field goal against Kilgore, run back for a state championship, and then the North Shore Hail Mary, and now he's popped through the bubble, and now they're hard to beat and have been even before that. People would say Bobby Bowden can't win the big one. Well, hell, he won all the big ones to get there. So,
right, you win more than you lose. You're winning big games.
Yep.
It's that's just people like to say stuff. I think people, that's why you can't listen to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, am I right here that if you were to win on Friday, would that be win number 200 of your career?
It would not.
Okay.
It'll be 198.
Okay. You're closing it. You've won a lot. You've been in the playoffs almost every year, even back when you were at Kelly, then Westbrook, and now at Atascocita.
Yeah.
How much of playing at Jefferson High School back in the day and the lineage of who they were, Ronnie Thompson, Todd Dodge, Brent Duhon, you, the run, what was that? How much did that get in your blood?
Well, I think it's just the way that success. You're part of success. You understand how to be successful. I think that's a lot of that, and being on good teams, being led by older players, and then you fall in that line and do the same thing when you're in that role. I think, and then playing in college and those kind of things. And I've been fortunate to be coached and coached with a lot of great coaches. In college when I was playing in college and college coaching. Coaching in the SEC. I mean, I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great people, and you learn every year. You learn. I'm still learning, on different things. So I think it's all part of it. Yeah.
Mike Owens, who was your head coach at Jefferson, had him on earlier this year. Had a state championship when he was at Lee. I covered them for a long time doing the radio broadcast. He told me his first year and his first game as head coach, you were the quarterback. And he threw the ball like 36 times, and against LaPorte. He said his new defensive coordinator, Larry Newman, after the game said he had never seen anyone throw the ball that many times. And then Mike said to him, I told him that if you were fortunate enough to have a quarterback like Craig Stump, then we should use him as much as we possibly can. You remember that game?
Yeah, I remember that game. They were I want to say at that time LaPorte was ranked and had some really good players. They went on to play college ball, and they were a strong program then. So, I do remember that game which was a little bit odd from a defensive coordinator becoming the head coach. You think you just run the ball and hand it off, But I guess he wanted to start. He liked calling passes because he hated when people threw it against him, I think.
Yeah, and then at Lee, where he had an incredible run, he could throw the ball, but he loved running various things and eventually beat a great Spring Westfield team for a state title who was loaded back in 2004, and they just out-schemed him no matter the talent difference. He really appreciates what you did for him. I know that you obviously appreciate what he's done. What did he mean to you?
Well, as a head coach, and my dad was on that staff as well. So, all those guys, still in touch with them today. They all showed up at my dad's funeral, so, they got you started. It's your high school coach, right? They taught you everything: discipline, accountability, toughness. I think it's one of the main things he instilled in us was toughness. Doesn't matter what position you play, you still have to be tough. It's a tough game, played by tough people. So doesn't matter if you're a quarterback or a kicker, you got to be tough. And so I think that's the main thing. I mean, he's just a good friend now.
He said you were a great leader, an absolute pleasure to coach. Talked about that first regular season in '82. May have lost, I think, in the second round, but had an unbeaten regular season. And just could not talk enough about you. He told me, and I did not know this, that you were were you the only player that R.C. Slocum ever carried off the field after a win?
Well, it was Jackie Sherrill, but
I'm sorry, Jackie Sherrill. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was after Arkansas. We played Arkansas, and they were winning, and I was inserted for Kevin Murray, and it was at home, and it was against the wind, and it was in the fourth quarter, and we put together an 8 or 9 play drive against the wind, 80 yards, and went for 2 and got it, and ended up winning the game, and we were out there going to sing the school song, and Coach Sherrill came, got between my legs and picked me up. I didn't know what to do.
You then coached under him, right, at Mississippi State for a while?
Yeah, that's correct. For 7 years. Yeah.
So obviously he was very successful. I talked to him on the show recently. Your thoughts about the impact that he had and overall who you are as a coach, along with your dad, Mike Owens, others, but what did he teach you?
Well, I think just that the players are really important. You know, as a player at A&M, he was we had everything. You know, anything that when we traveled the best. When we ate the best. When we lost, we ate the worst. You know, just he kind of did things like that. But you know, then when I coached with him, just man, all the things that go into being successful with your coaches, holding the players, accountable. So if so-and-so's not here, well, why not? Why did you call him? Did you find out what's going on? Just the details, because he wanted to know. And he wanted to know. And when you went recruiting, he wanted to know. You had to know the preacher's name, the pastor's name, when they went to church, what day they went to church, what religion they were, what color their house was, where they worked, did they like their job? Did they not like? I mean, it was very, very detailed and with that. And he didn't micromanage. He didn't tell you how to do it. He would just say, things like this. Well, he would ask you questions, and if you didn't have the answer, then you better go find out.
Yeah.
Yep. And next time you knew the answer, right? Yep. And he didn't give you a list of things that you need to do and treat you like you were 2 years old. He hired you to do the job, and so he just. I think that's it. He didn't micromanage you, but you knew the importance of every aspect of your players.
You mentioned Kevin Murray in that win against Arkansas. You had to be very patient in college because he was number one on the depth chart, and there were times you came in your sophomore year and junior year, you didn't play much, and then, of course, you had the great run and went to the Cotton Bowl and won it your senior year. How about today's age? Kids, high school even, they're not very patient. Sometimes it's them. Sometimes it's the outside or even family, parent influence. Yep. How do you use your experience to talk to young people today?
Yeah, you do exactly that. You use it, and even though you think you're ready and this, that, and the other, there's things that it's okay. It's okay if you're not quite strong enough yet, or it's okay if you don't know exactly everything you're supposed to do all the time. And it's okay if somebody does it a little better than you. He's older than you, right? And, but you're right, with the transfer portal in college, it's filtering down into high school, although we don't have one, but, there's people out there that think you do, and they don't know it's okay. It's okay to be a freshman or a sophomore. I mean, the best players we've had here, played freshman football. And a lot of the best players we've had here played JV as a sophomore. Right? If you're a top program, you don't have many sophomores starting. Like, you typically in a given year, sometimes you might have a few, but, now, where some of these guys could go to another program and maybe start as a sophomore, but they don't win the games and they don't have the exposure. And so, if you play your junior and senior year at a ranked program in the state of Texas, you get exposure. People are going to know who you are, and those guys, it's their job to come look. And, as a recruiter, I use that. It's that coach's job to come look and evaluate you. And, he's not going to not do his job. He's not going to go to Atascocita. He's going to go to Atascocita. He's going to go everywhere. And it's okay if you're a junior or a senior starting. It's about your play. It's about your performance. But yeah, I just try to use the recruiting aspect of it and try to help them with the process of evaluation and growing, and most of the time at a program like ours or North Shore, if you're a sophomore, then you have the size, or there's a space in the depth chart for you, right? A lot of times the sophomores aren't big enough. It's hard to play freshman football at this level and go as a sophomore and start on varsity, and then go play North Shore, who has seniors.
Yep.
And so you just try to teach them that, and you're always one play away. Just because you're on the JV, my philosophy is I would rather have them playing on the JV. If it's not a necessity, and you can play on the JV and play all those games, rather than stand by me on the varsity and not do anything. Mm-hmm. Now, some positions are different than others, right? But because if somebody gets hurt in the varsity game, well, the next week, then you can come up and, be on the varsity. You've been playing all year, and you can come on the varsity. You can move people up from week to week.
Yep.
It's not an end all. So yeah, it's getting more and more because of college football, more than it used to be.
Craig, you've had 2 games in the last 3. I mentioned Katy and also Westlake. Craig Stump, head coach at Atascocita, but you've had 2 games that have been down to the wire. Summer Creek, and then also with Kingwood, which was batting down a 2-point conversion, I think, at the end. How much? I mean, one, that was those were close, but also how much do you learn from those, and heck, can that help you down the stretch?
Well, yeah, it can, this team's been through everything. Week 1 against Lamar, they were up 35 to something at halftime, and we didn't really play well in the second half, but we still won the game. And then we were down against Katy on the road and just kept playing and won the game. And we were down against Westlake on the road, just kept playing and won the game. Got way up against Summer Creek, and then we actually got 3 starters hurt. So on defense, which was a lot of the reason that the game ended up being down to the wire, to be honest. And but they're a resilient group, not as consistent as we like it, but they're resilient. They don't worry about what you talk about all the time. We don't worry about the score. It's important at the end of the game, not at the other time. And it's just all about your performance. And they seem to do that. And I think last week, with Kingwood, we got up 14-0. Then they scored. We had a chance to go up 21-0 or 21-0, 21-7. Didn't make the play. And they made a one-handed catch on 4th down. Now it's tied, and now all of a sudden you're in a ball game. Mm-hmm. And I know no matter how hard you try, you try to get your guys to focus on their performance and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of outside influences, and I think they overlooked them, to be honest.
Yeah, because of this week with North Shore.
Yeah, and I think then all of a sudden, then we got up 14-0, and it's like, oh yeah, I knew we didn't have to do much here. And then all of a sudden it's 14-14, and now all of a sudden it's a game, and you try to get it back, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we were out. We were without those starters still, so hopefully we get them back this week. And now they hadn't played in 3 weeks, so there's that. But hopefully we get them back and they can stay healthy. Because we're that's the guys we had earlier in the year. So
2 juggernauts.
Injuries are part of it.
Yeah, 2 juggernauts. Yeah. That district is ridiculous. It reminds me of DeSoto, Duncanville, and even when Cedar Hill was at a high level. One more thing. Thanks for your time, Craig.
No problem.
Your first year as a head coach at Kelly in Beaumont, you started. You lost your opening game. You started 1-3, 2-4, and I think even 3-5. Did you, at that time, was your head spinning? Because you turned it around and had a great run until you lost. And then, of course, the rest seems to be history. What was that like for you your first year?
Well, that was a whole different place. They hadn't won any games at all. Mm-hmm. And it was, athletics was not real important. And, we were trying to change all of that. But we had a good core group, and we ended up 5-5 the first year, and then 7-4 I think the next year, and then the next year went to Westbrook. But so we ended up turning it around. But we had some guys. It was tough. I mean, they didn't really. The environment was not conducive, facility wise or just attitude wise. For there's just other things they'd rather do.
Yep.
And so it I learned a lot there on how to, how to focus people and get them committed along with their parents.
You had to change the culture, Craig, and it seemed like you did. Yeah.
And it went to Westbrook, and Westbrook hadn't been winning. They were 2-something, and had 2-8, 2 years in a row, I think. And then the first year there, we went to the third round of playoffs, and won there. And then hadn't planned on leaving because it's a hard process. It's a day-to-day process trying to get people to understand the commitment and just all the little things. We're going to wear this and do this. That's not okay. You're going to be held accountable for every little thing. It'll wear you out. And then Atascocita wasn't winning. They were, 2-8 or whatever they were. It was not good. And Troy Kite called and wanted me to come over here. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to go through all that again. We got it rolling at Westbrook. And my son was going to be a sophomore, and he wanted to come. And so we did. And I think we were 5-5. And then since 2013, we've been, in the third round or better. So for 12 years. So 12 seasons. So I think consistency is real important. If you can be, people talk about winning the big one. Well, if you can do that for 12 years, that's pretty good too.
Well, to close it out with this thought with Mike Owens, they went to the second round like 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row and always ended up playing against a team that went and played for a state championship or won it.
Yeah.
And then finally they popped the bubble.
Know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good luck this week against North Shore. Craig, thanks for being a part of the show. Thanks for your time today. Good luck, and hope you have a chance to be at AT&T Stadium later in the year, and I will shake your hand if I see you. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Yeah, well, that would be great. Thanks for having me on. You do a great job, and I appreciate what you do. So thanks a lot.
Craig Stump, head coach at Atascocita with me. This is the statewide high school football podcast.
When you need power, performance, and head-turning style, you need Peters Chevrolet. Check out the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado. 1.9% for 36 months with discounts up to $10,000 off on custom crew cabs. 2024 Silverado prices starting at $36,995. Whether you work hard or play hard, take your pick out of the largest selection of new Chevrolets at Peters Chevrolet. Online at peterscars.net. Peters Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
El Conquistador Restaurants are a very proud sponsor of the Midway Panthers, have been owned and operated by the Gonzalez family since 1969. El Conquistador is recognized annually as a local favorite with their fast and friendly service. Dine in or order takeout and enjoy your favorite Tex-Mex items as well as several traditional menu items. Catering is also available with 3 locations to serve you: Waco, Belmead, and Hillsboro. The Gonzalez family thanks you in Waco and the surrounding area for your continued support of 55 years in business. Go Panthers!
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year, it's football season. Bird Colgan Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 selling truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, 47 years in a row. Come see the largest showroom in Texas and experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit Marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
All right, we wrap it up with this segment today. The best games, and this may be the best cumulative, overall best week of elite games. According to Jerry Forrest, Pigskin Prep, but just because if you know Texas high school football, these are some dudes. I call them bangers. Like in college football, 2 top 25 teams or 2 top 10 teams, bangers. Like last week with Georgia, Texas, and other games we've seen this year. Columbus and Hitchcock. Columbus is rolling with Coach Schobel, his son, of course, the quarterback. They play at Hitchcock. This could be interesting, but right now Columbus is overwhelming people. But there's a number 1 against a number 2 ranked game. The number on the right, the blue number, the lower the number, the better the game based on where teams are ranked. There's Parish Episcopal and Plano Prestonwood. There's always 1 or 2 great games in TAPS and also private schools. There's that game from earlier we talked with Craig Stump, Atascocita and North Shore. North Shore has gotten Atascocita more often than not, but this is a showdown deluxe. Gilmer and Pleasant Grove up in Texarkana. Josh Gibson, the head coach at Pleasant Grove, has had a great run there, including the state championship. And Gilmer, of course, with Alan Wetzel, the defending 4A Division II state champions. Westlake and Lake Travis, both of them right next to each other in the city of near Austin. Westlake's won 6 of 7, won twice last year, knocked out Lake Travis from the playoffs. They have had their stretches of one team gets on a streak and another one. We know about the lineage and their state championships. Bushland and Shallowater, and a good one, Stephenville at Lampasas, 6-1. Stephenville is rolling along. They're kind of a heavy favorite when it's 21 to the left of their name. La Vega and Robinson. Robinson beating Conley, La Vega beating China Spring. Now they meet in what is a great game in Class 4A Division II. El Campo and Bay City. Pick'em. The PK means a pick'em game. Allen and Prosper. Allen is unbeaten. We had Lee Wigginton, their coach, on earlier. Prosper is a big physical team up front. They like to pound you. That should be a great game. Galveston Ball and Barbers Hill. There's another one. Marshall and Iowa Colony is another good one. Blanket and Zephyr. There's West Orange Stark and Silsbee. They've been playing since, I think, before even Earth was formed. Also, Lufkin, the Panthers, 6-1. Good start for Todd Quick and the Panthers. They're playing at Memorial in Port Arthur. There's West Plains hosting Randall. That's a pick'em game. And then Sealy, Madisonville. Madisonville 4-3. Very good. Remember, they took Malakoff to the end just a few weeks back in non-district. Sealy at 5-2. Now, a few weeks ago, I got a call from Doug Furch. He works in the Baylor Alumni Fan Engagement Department, former coach, former high school coach, and he and I have gotten to be very, very good friends. He called me one day during a commercial break during our afternoon show on 365 Sports to let me know something I never thought I would have anyone tell me, that I was going to be a part of the class of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame class of 2025. I cannot tell you that for 44 years I've covered the great game of high school football in Texas. It is absolutely an incredible honor. Other than having 2 children with Craig and Jennifer, I can't even explain to you what it means. It choked me up. It really did. Took my breath away. And then they officially announced it earlier this week. Look at the names of those being inducted. Gary Keithley was at Alvin High in the 70s, former great A&M. But also at Plano High School, great Pat Thomas. Brad Goebel played at Cuero, the Gobblers. I covered him in the state championship game in 1985 against Dangerfield. He also quarterbacked at Baylor. John Norman, a dude at Midland Lee in the 90s. Robert Griffin III, I think we've heard of him. I covered RG3 his last 2 years in college, including the Heisman Trophy year in 11. He and I have remained very close friends, and he was a great quarterback at Copper's Cove. Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the world, 3-time Super Bowl champion, trying to win 3 in a row. No one's ever done that in the NFL. I covered his father when he was a star, multi-sport star at Lindale High School before a long career in Major League Baseball. Craig, my son Craig Smoke, did his broadcast on the radio with Brian Houston with White House his last couple of years. Also, Jeff Traylor. Jeff was a coach at Jacksonville High School under Danny Long. The McCowan brothers are quarterbacks there. He helped coach them. Took the job at his alma mater, Gilmer. The rest is history. He was fantastic, won multiple state titles. He coached at Texas, SMU, Arkansas, and now the head coach at UTSA. He's a great friend of mine. And then Curtis Barbay. I covered him with my website, Smoaky.com, the late, great Curtis Barbay, when he was at Newton High School. All right, when we come back next week, we'll have week number 10. Thanks to Reggie Samples at Duncanville and Craig Stump at Atascocita. Thanks to Jack McKenzie, Peter Chevrolet in Longview, our sponsor of the weekly sports statewide podcast here. I'm David Smoke. I'm honored and thrilled to be a part of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. I can't even believe that I'm saying that. Have a great week. Enjoy week 9. And this is 365 Sports. 3rd and 2. They stack the line of scrimmage. There's Dom Hill. There he goes. Dom Hill 40. Dom Hill 30. Downhill Dom Hill. Touchdown. 61 yards.
Smoaky.com presents the Texas High School Football Show on 365 Sports. Brought to you by Peter Chevrolet.
Medlock, they fake it to him. James Keeper off the left side, breaks the tackle, into the secondary, skips away, and he will score. Touchdown, Duncanville.
Here's David Smoke.